Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show, and I'm so happy to have everybody here. And today's show gives me the chills, so I'm hoping you're going to get chills, too. I'm sure you will. I want to say hello to Amnon.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine. How you? How you week been?
My week been good, and your week?
Just fine.
Every week we go through this. It's Monday, right? So how much time can you really have for your week? Unless you start, of course, last Tuesday, and your week starts then. But every week we go through the same thing. So I guess a week can be a day. Who knows? I mean, everything is relative, and who makes up the time anyway but us. So I'm glad to have Amnon. As always, he's our producer. He keeps everything straight. He tells us what to do. And you always need a little person somewhere along the way, somebody to tell you what to do. And today I'm really excited to introduce Chris Reinhardt, who is, oh my goodness, well, how do I describe it? Let's see. Chris, for those of you that have been watching the show for a long time, Chris is always in the chat. She is co-producer for Breaking Free. Amnon's producer. She's the co-producer. I often say she is my right and left. When Chris and I found each other, how long ago?
About 5 years.
About 5 years ago, I was looking for somebody to work with me that I could just love. That's all. I was looking for a person to love who could just get me in a word or two, even when I misspelled my words or two. And I found Chris, and she's been marvelous. So I know all of you out there that have been watching the show have seen her in the background, but today's show I felt was really something that Chris is so passionate about motherhood and parenting and children and just being all that I could not imagine doing this without her.
Aww,
So I'm really happy to have her. And we also have Chrissy Key and Cara Barr with us as well. So let's welcome those two beautiful women. Hello.
Hello, thank you.
Hi, welcome. So it's going to be one of them love fests. But this topic that we're going to talk about parenting, transitions, motherhood at different stages of our lives. And, you know, some people are mothers and they didn't bear their children, but they take on a role of motherhood, just like Mother Earth. I mean, goodness gracious, why is it Mother Earth? And so I'm really excited about this show. I mean, I'm a grandmother. I can't tell you the delight I have in being around my grandson. In fact, today my daughter asked me if I would just meet her somewhere just for a few minutes. She had to do something. And so I went and met her so I could watch my grandson for just a few minutes. And I mean, I did the silliest things in the car with him. Just the silliest things. I'm going to tell you what, the whole time I was there, I was filled with such joy. I don't remember doing that as a young mother because I was distracted. But I get to do it now. And so this show is a conversation about all of those things. And with Breaking Free comes all the conversations we can possibly have that are going to break each and every one of us free. Because I know when I was a young mother, I was working. Couldn't enjoy but so much. And so I'm happy to have this conversation. So I want to introduce Chrissy because it was Chrissy's motherhood that inspired me to be wanting to do the show for a long time. I've known Chrissy for how many years, Chrissy?
Gosh, 5 years probably.
5 years maybe.
Years.
And I've known Chrissy as this kind of, in some ways, flamboyant working woman, doing all kinds of really cool things and trying new things and being an inspiration for other women doing other things. And then comes her little baby. And I saw this woman continuously doing those things, but carrying a papoose on her back or in the front or standing in front of a room talking. And I thought, you know, there's a story here. And it's more than just a story. It's a lifestyle. It's a thing. And I knew that I just wanted to do a show about mothers and love. And I hope there are fathers listening because many of you are caretakers as well. And Cara, you're a doula, Cara? Cara, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you also are passionate about mothers and motherhood and parenting and all kinds of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us a bit about you, Cara.
Well, I've been working with moms, babies, their children, and their families for about 14 years. And boy, I felt called. I think I was about 8 years old when I first felt a calling to be around moms and babies, which was interesting because I'm an only child.
Mm.
But I am an aspiring midwife and have been a doula for many years. And actually, my beginnings were as a nurse. So I worked as a mom and a baby, postpartum and nursery nurse for many years before taking a pause to have my two children.
Okay.
And it's just something that, well, motherhood itself, in its essence, to me is love and unconditional and divine, pure love. And that's what I'm here to do. So I support, empower, nurture, and work with moms and their families. And I absolutely love every minute of it.
Thank you. I think it was a beautiful way of putting that. And I also want to say that during the show, anybody is more than welcome to call in and chat with us, comment anytime you like. You can call at 919-518-9773, or if you prefer, you can call us on Skype if you're anywhere in the world. Computers, that's plural 2K voice. Connect with us anytime because this conversation is open. As Kara said, this is a conversation that we want to have with everybody. We want this circle to include everyone that could possibly join in the conversation. So please do that. And also, there's a chat window. If you'd like to take part in our chat and see what's going on in the window, you're welcome to put your name in there, nickname, whatever, and comment, watch what people are saying, because it usually gets very lively. So, Chrissy, now
Yes.
to you. I gave you a little introduction, but now talk about you.
Yeah, so I am a business owner. I have a business called Holistic Restoration, which focuses on balancing people physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And prior to becoming a mom, my passion has been really focused on living a life that's based in and rooted in love, unconditional acceptance of myself, others, and everything at all times. So that's kind of where our last conversation was, Marilyn, a couple of years ago when you had me on the show for the episode on living love. And now I have the wonderful mission and challenge of being able to translate that over into motherhood as well. And not only am I living this life for myself, but now also being the example for my daughter and infusing all of my philosophies and beliefs into raising a child instead of just kind of defaulting into maybe what other people are doing or what is the popular choice or what is the common way to approach parenting, and instead really making a conscious effort and making conscious choices to continue to live a life that's rooted in love for myself, and again also be that example for my daughter. Teach her how to be empowered, how to relate to the world in an empowering way, and bring that same unconditional love acceptance to her world so that she can have that for herself and also as she interacts with the world in general.
Right. So how was the transition for you, Chrissy, as a new mom? Was it shocking? Yeah. Was it easy? How was it?
It was a surprise. I found out that I was pregnant about a year before my mind told me I was ready to be a mom. So there was about 5 minutes. Thankfully, I've been practicing this for a while. So it took me about 5 minutes to go from that complete shock in my mind reeling, saying, you weren't ready for this, your business isn't where you thought it was going to be, this isn't what my plan was for the next year, to be pregnant and to bring a child into the world. So it took me about 5 minutes to calm that voice inside me and allow my heart to come through and allow me to realize that if God believes that I could be a mom and do it all, then I'm going to believe that I can be a mom and do it all. And when I say that, it's because I felt that I have found my way into my purpose. And I was in the process of living out my purpose. And at the time, I did not see how my purpose included being a mom. I was very focused on my building, building my business, serving my clients. So working a child into the equation just wasn't something that I thought that I was ready for. But I operate from a belief that everything happens for a reason and there are no mistakes. So if I was given a child, then just because my mind said that it wasn't the right time, I just had to kind of fall back into a whole new level of faith and surrender. Faith that I am fully equipped, faith that I will figure it out as I go on, and surrender to the process of it happening now versus when my mind told me that it would happen. So it took about 5 minutes before I came to that realization, and then it took several months before I could really bring that into my life. It was still a matter of accepting it consciously and then working its way kind of down deeper into my core of being. And for anybody who is a mom, just the whole process of finding out that you're pregnant it's like a foreign experience. All of a sudden my body's hijacked. I have all these things going on that I'm not accustomed to having going on, and I have no proof of how long the pregnancy is going to last. Will it go full term? What's our life going to be like together? There is no guarantees. And I think that being able to consciously surrender that need for control and allow life to go and unfold in front of me was one of the best things that I could have done. I believe it allowed for a very beautiful pregnancy experience, a very easy pregnancy experience.
Well, Chrissy, let me interrupt you just a second, because
Sure.
I want to continue with what you're saying, but I also wanted to say that as a new mother myself, I was so excited about becoming a parent, but I didn't always want to be. Before having children, didn't even know if I wanted any. I was like, wanted to do my thing, but where I come from, you had children just like you had China. It was once you got married, it was the thing you did. You registered with China, you were automatically going to have children, just like you were automatically going to college. But I was a career woman. I mean, I had a furniture store. I was not the mother in the park. I was the mother who took my children to the store on Sunday when it was open, because I had to be there. And so when I look back, I wasn't, but I found a way to make up for it. At night I would make parties out of nothing, or take my children wherever I went. And then I got divorced really early on. So it was really interesting for me. And that's one of the things that I've always admired about you women, because Carl, you took a pause to take care of your children. Chrissy, you're just going along and found a way to do yours. And then Chris has, she's also found a way, and I admire what she does with her children, because she's done, it's like listening to her talk about what she does with her children is like watching a movie. I mean, she's always doing something with her children. And so you had this, big education, and then you you didn't give it up, but you've made a difference with, so talk about yourself for just a second.
Well, I wasn't a person who really thought that she was going to have children immediately. But when I was ready, I was ready. And we did a lot of traveling, and I went to school, and I went to graduate school, and I did those things. And then when I was ready to have a baby, then I was ready. And motherhood has been one of the most exceptional and humbling gifts I think I've ever gotten. And I'm going to get all teary.
Well, I mean, this could be the show for teary. Your children are how old?
I have thank you. I have a 6 and a 9-year-old.
And you're devoting your life to your children.
For right now.
Right. But
for right now.
But you have. That's all you can do is what you have right now.
Yes. And it's been remarkable. And I love what I do professionally with you and what we do. And I also love being able to bring that creativity into parenting as well. And we do a lot of crazy things at my house. We are about ready to make mummies. We're doing a little bit of homeschooling right now, and we're talking about Egypt. And so we're My husband is out looking for a chicken right now that we're going to mummify.
Oh my God.
But we do a lot of different things.
So-
We dress up for Halloween.
And you've been able to, at times, which is kind of like what Chrissy does, and I have a feeling Cara similarly, you've even used the show at times when she's been watching the show, the kids around, she'll use this show as an educational tool. So you use what you've got.
Exactly.
I mean, so the world and to all the women out there who, one of the things that I feared when I got pregnant is the fear of actually giving birth, the pain, which, Cara, you can probably talk about this. I was petrified. I knew I couldn't get away from it, that somewhere along the way I was going to experience this thing of having a baby, and I was petrified. And nobody tells you, nobody told me it was going to be joyful and it was going to be amazing and I was going to, nobody told me that. But this was also, 29 years ago. Things are different today, I think. But I was petrified of that alone. So, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just going to share that, I think that that's so common, that's so part of the experience, and that the only way through that is to actually go through it. Mm-hmm. But it helps so tremendously to have support and to have encouragement and to have positive words about, birth, pregnancy, motherhood, parenting, spoken to you and shared with you, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah, and so classes and just there's so much online today, I think, and forums and things that are open to all of us that we didn't have before. I mean, there was nothing for me to really go by. I mean, I went to a birthing class, but that even scared me more. I mean, just the thought of them focusing on just pushing, and then I didn't have the other part, pushing a baby out of me. That was scary.
And I'll say, Marilyn, to speak on my experience, I went into it with that level of faith, that belief that I'm fully equipped and that nothing can cross my path that I'm not fully equipped to handle. So this just really put my faith to the test. And it took, I think, I attribute a big part of my beautiful experience that I had from pregnancy through the whole pregnancy into birthing my child to having the support of Cara by my side, having somebody who shared my spiritual perspective on the world, to share my faith in us being fully equipped and to be so passionate about motherhood, and to have such a belief in the power of women in our ability to do this.
So Chrissy, talk to the women who don't have that. Let's talk about that. Talk about what do you do? How do you gain that spirituality? How do you gain? I mean, there are plenty of women out here that are like I was, a single parent. I was living in an area. I didn't have my parents here. Talk to those women. How do you gain that spirituality when you're by yourself? How do you find a friend like Cara?
Yeah. First, I would say just ask for it. Ask for it out loud. Ask for it to your friends, family, whoever would listen in a room by yourself. I don't think it really matters, but just ask for it. And I believe what we ask for, it will be provided for us. And thankfully I did know Cara, and I'm not quite sure what avenue I would have gone if it wasn't for her, because she was definitely a grounding point for me. But faith is an absolute choice. And basically what it comes down to is that we all have faith. It comes in one form or another. Either we have faith that there's something beyond us, or we have faith that what we see is all that there is. But one way or the other, we're believing in something. And it's our choice in what we believe in. So to me, since I can't prove that I'm not fully equipped, since I can't prove that life isn't on purpose, I choose to put my faith in the fact that it is. It brings me more peace of mind. And really, since I can't prove one way or the other, I might as well choose the story that brings the most peace into my heart and into my life. And once we make our choice in what it is that we're going to believe, then life has the beautiful experience of reflecting back our beliefs. So for when it comes down to it, faith is just simply a choice. And if you're going to doubt, you're going to be doubting anyway. We might as well doubt that we're not capable versus doubting that we are capable. So that was my choice. I had no control over anything that happened beyond how I ate, how I treated my body, and the thoughts that went through my head during the pregnancy. And that's really the only control that I had. So I focused on the areas that I could control, and then I just chose to surrender the rest and trust the journey. Whatever it is, whatever experience you're supposed to have in life, that is exactly what you're going to have. For whatever reason, I was supposed to have an amazing experience, and I'm very grateful for it. And like how Chris said, she was ready to be a mom. I was not ready to be a mom. That wasn't on my to-do list. Actually, my faith got me to the point that I trusted that if I'm supposed to be a mom, I will be. And if I'm not supposed to be a mom, then I won't be. So I was very detached from it happening one way or the other. And then when it did happen, I wasn't in that space of, yes, this is the next thing that I want to accomplish in my life. So I was forced into surrendering instead of it being something that I was looking to have happen at the time.
You know, it's interesting. I think it's very interesting because sometimes surrender is not in your control. Sometimes you have no choice but to surrender when you're exhausted. I mean, I can remember times as a single mom, not even being able to, I had a 2-story apartment. I can remember when I couldn't even climb the stairs. I was so depressed and so exhausted. And then money. I mean, there was a time when, you know, I was fortunate that I came from money, but there was a time when I didn't have any. And I was telling Chris, I think, the other day that I didn't even have money for my power bill. And I had 2 children that needed to eat, and I had no money for my power bill. And I had all kinds of stuff on paper. But what difference does it make if you don't have it in your pocket or in your pocketbook or in the bank? And I had to go for whatever that financial aid thing is. And I mean, it was a freaky experience. But it's something that I have, that I look back on and I go, wow, what we do, and there was, you know, what we do when we have to. You just do what you have to do, and I did it. I got a ticket for food stamps. I didn't have to use it, but it was in the palm of my hands. I had to face, going into this room, a woman who who owned a business, who had done all kinds of things in my life. Growing up with money, I had to face that I had to go in and get, you know, food stamps. And it was not a pretty picture, but I did it anyway. And so, you know, what were we going to say, Chrissy?
Well, that's proof to me that we are fully equipped and we're surrounded by all the resources that we need. But it's only in action that we discover this.
Absolutely.
So before I felt so purposeful in following my passion in my business that to now I have to split my focus, because I always had a picture of being able to do both, to continue to serve and also to be the primary caretaker of my child. So I wanted to have my business where I thought that it should be before I could step into doing dual role. But it took me being forced into the dual role to prove to myself that I can do both.
Right. And you manage.
It's in the experience that we discover, yes, we are fully equipped and we do have all the resources necessary to succeed in life.
So now,
and the only way to know it is to take that action.
Absolutely.
And that's how I approach the whole labor and delivery process as well. I trust my body. I trust the design of it. I trust that I wouldn't be able to bear a child if I wasn't able to deliver a child. So I went into it just with the mindset of, it's not for me to make this child come out of my body. It's for me to allow the process to happen. And that was my focus, to breathe, trust, allow. That was the mantra that showed up in my head, and I stayed focused on that as much as I could, and worked together in a partnership with my baby to bring her into this world, instead of having it be something that I have to force, or like you were mentioning, the fears that come up of the pain and the discomfort. I just focused on the allowing.
Right. So now, and that is really what, if you're out there and you're it doesn't matter what stage, whether it's you've already given birth and you're out there and you have these issues with being a single parent, or your husband travels, or you are not a biological parent. I mean, I've had experience with that as well. Each and every area of parenthood, caretakinghood, call it what you will, in whatever area you're invested in, there are going to be times where it's a struggle, and you got to go with the flow and surrender in those moments. I feel for each and every parent or caretaker, because that's quite a role. Taking on bringing up a child, caring for a child is probably one of the most fantastic experiences. And I have, 2 older daughters. I have a grandson I've mentioned. I have 3 stepchildren. Watching them grow has been extraordinary. And I think I'd love to talk about those things now. I'd love to talk about just the sheer pleasure and the things that we go through and the joys of being of loving a child, period. So, Kara, I think this is a really great time for you to chime in. And I want to just say to you ladies, feel free to let's just talk like we would at any point in time. And I also want to just suggest that anybody, please feel free to call in too if you have something that you would like to add to the conversation, 919-518-9773, or computers, plural, to the number 2K now. So, Kara,
Yes.
being in this love space, how would you define motherhood or caretakinghood or loving a child?
That's a beautiful question. I would say at its essence, it is love. Motherhood is love itself, divine, unconditional love, and it's so many things. It's patience, it's kindness, it's showing up and being there and being present in the moment with our children, even when we don't want to. I think I heard you saying that earlier at some point. Just that sometimes you don't want to. But we still have to anyways. It's that gentleness. That really, there's so many incredible qualities that are part of being a mom, and it's amazing and incredible. And we have these opportunities to learn so much too. My children, I learn.
How old are your children?
How old are your kids?
How old are they?
They're my teachers. I consider them to be, they're 10 and 4 now, and I consider them 2 of my greatest teachers in my lifetime.
Yeah, they are tremendous teachers. I actually, my oldest in particular, she has a memory like I can't even tell you. If she tells me, Mom, you did this then, I just say okay, because I know she's right. There's no question that she's right, because she remembers things like I don't ever think of. I don't think I ever had a memory like that, but they do. They're our greatest teachers. They have taught me how to show up. And I have to say also for women out there that are step parents, my children, and I've always told this to people, my children. My 2 daughters grew up perfectly. They did. They knew what to do with a napkin. They knew how to say thank you right away. They knew all the right things. My stepchildren, I really learned parenting on them. Because as a stepmother, I had to reach out and really parent because I was a stepmother. It was different than having my children from birth. And it's really that's another extraordinary experience, step parenting, and we really should not poo-poo any of our experiences along the way, and including as a step parent, and say, well, oh well, or this or that. You take it on when you're responsible. You are a responsible adult. It takes a village.
Yeah, and Marilyn, I made a deal with my daughter when she was born. I just looked at her and I said, okay, kid, we're in this together. And I will help you learn how to navigate this world if you will help me to learn to navigate your world. Because I feel like that's a beautiful partnership that we have with our children, is that they give us that a direct source to that, what I always refer to as the unseen behind the scene.
That's
They
great.
transition from the world that they were created in into our world. And it's for me to help her navigate this world and for her to help me navigate her world. And I feel blessed to have the perspective that I have going into parenthood so that I can know that each moment, like Cara said, she is my teacher. Keely is here to teach me everything that I have, or a good portion of what I have not discovered about myself yet, to teach me how patient I am, how understanding I am, how selfless I am, and also to just to how to be present. The first few weeks of life with her taught me so much about the power of silent observation, because that's all that she did was sit there silently and take it all in.
Well,
and you had also said, Marilyn, understanding the depth of how much I matter. It matters how well I take care of myself, because I have to have all the energy required in order to tend to all of her needs.
And Chrissy, hold that for a second. So listen to what she's saying, because that is so. And I just give me permission to interrupt you all, because sometimes you're saying something that I really want to shine a light on. So that's permission. Is very much permission for women to take care of themselves. You have, just like we want to take care of the planet and Mother Earth, you've got to take care of each other. And we have to be, and I just had something come out of my mouth I didn't expect. We have to take care of each other. We as women, and I didn't expect to say that, actually. I meant to say we have to take care of ourselves, but obviously it wasn't meant to say that. I was meant to say, really, it's a hallelujah. I was really meant to say this. We have to take care of each other. We have to be there for each other no matter what. Young, old, middle, it doesn't matter. Let's just take care of each other, because we are each other's support. We need each other. We need to lean on each other. We need to love each other. And it is going to be because we take care of each other that we're going to grow a race of children that are going to be very special.
Yes.
So I appreciate you saying that, Chrissy. I didn't mean to say what I said, but I did. But I want Chris I want you to enter in the conversation as well. And I want you to just say, from what you've heard so far, what are you feeling?
I think motherhood and everything that you're saying is so accurate. I thought when I was going to have a baby that it was going to be, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and it's going to all turn out great because I'm in charge. Well, then my first child was born, and we found out who really was in charge, and it wasn't me.
Right.
But I really think self-care is a very critical part, and it's so easy to forget yourself in those.
So what do you do for self-care?
I've discovered yoga.
Okay.
So I've been spending a lot of time on the mat, but it took a long time to give myself permission to discover that I really could do that. And it's not that I could do that, but I needed to do that.
And what has that done for you?
And it's allowed me, I think, in addition to taking care of myself, it's been a great example for my kids to say, Mom is going to go take care of herself, do something that she enjoys, and I'll be back. And you'll get a better mom, you'll get a smarter mom, you'll get a more patient mom when those things are taken care of. Right. So it starts here.
Right. And I think, and there's plenty of resources, community resources, everywhere you turn. I don't care where you are in the world. There are resources to take, no matter where you are economically, no matter where. I mean, at my worst, there was always the street. I could always take a walk. I mean, seriously, I didn't have to pay for it. All I needed was a pair of sneakers, and sometimes not even that. So it doesn't matter. There's always a bathtub. Honestly, there's always something, water, to get under a shower. How I don't know about anybody else, but some of my best ideas come when there's water dripping in my face and my inspiration. So there's always something that you can do that is not a small feat. It is extraordinary, and you should take advantage of anything that you can do to replenish yourself and your soul as a parent, because it is a huge undertaking. So, Kara, what do you suggest to women to do? And I know I'm watching your face, and I'm like, okay, she's got something to say.
I love Chris's suggestion with the yoga. That's a huge part of my practice and has been for years since having my children. And I was so inspired by it and the benefits that I received from having a yoga practice that I teach it now. So that's one of the ways that I support moms and their babies is in teaching prenatal and mom and baby yoga.
There's mom and baby yoga?
Yes.
Keely's awesome at it.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Oh my God, serious. Well, I saw a picture of her. That was really in a mom and baby, because I took a couples yoga class on Friday night. That was extraordinary. So really, there's a baby and mom yoga class?
Yes.
What
yes,
do?
And you bring your baby and you do yoga together. And whether they're sleeping or whether they're nursing or whether they're awake and engaged and participating in the actual poses and everything that we do, it's all welcome. And they get to bond with other babies and moms too, just by being in that presence together, in that it's okay. We're all here together.
Wow.
Yeah, in a sense, it's almost like it's a yoga class for moms that you're allowed to bring your baby and tend to their needs in the process. So it gives us permission. Cara does great facilitating it, and I can really only speak to her classes because that's all that I've experienced. So it's not so much necessarily putting Keely through all the different yoga poses we go through, but it gives me an opportunity to focus on myself while keeping my baby my top priority. So I get a good stretch. I get a good hour to breathe and move my body and be present within my body. At the same time, I have permission to, if Keely needs her diaper change, I can change her diaper. If she needs to be fed, then she can be fed. If she sleeps, which she doesn't, she's beyond that. She doesn't sleep at all.
She doesn't want to miss anything. No. Everybody's seen her picture. That is not a child. I mean, that picture on your back, I mean, she's looking through the camera at everybody out there.
Yes, this child is aware and she is a part of this world and she doesn't want to miss a thing. So she spends the majority of her time squealing and laughing and rolling around on the yoga mat. And it's just a great way. It gives her and I another activity that's different from the rest of her week. It gives her an opportunity to see other babies. It gives me an opportunity to connect with other moms, and it gives me that focused hour that we're committed to show up for one another and to have that experience. So it was such a win-win-win situation that I said I've got to take these next 6 weeks and invest this time, money, and energy focused on us. My body, her experience in life, and it pays off in so many different levels.
So I want to ask you a question. So for women who it doesn't come natural, parenting is not a natural thing. How do you create that? Whether it's like with me and my stepchildren, I mean, I wasn't always. I don't think I was a natural mother, but I found my motherhood thread. I found people that I could watch. My mother is a great mother. I have aunts that were wonderful aunts, but love is love. Mm-hmm. So how do you discover that love or that feeling when you're nurturing and it's not natural?
Yeah, I will say that the one thing that surprised me with the whole mother experience, and perhaps it would have been a different experience if I had been more like where Chris was in really being ready to be a mom and wanting to be a mom. For me, it was a continuing of the faith and surrender and allowing. So as the days and weeks and months go by, my amount of love and adoration for my child just grows. So at first, it was a lot of just allowing. I had this little tiny creature that was dependent on everything for me to meet the needs of, between my husband and I, for the commitment that we have to help her meet her needs. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think that served me the most was understanding that how babies communicate as adults communicate, that we have a need that needs to be met. That's their voice, their communication is through crying. So one of the number one things I think that is a stressor for most new moms is dealing with the crying. And I immediately took it as a sign that she was signaling to me, I have a need that needs to be met. Will you please assist me? It wasn't my responsibility to make sure that she was happy. It was my responsibility to make sure that her needs were met. And when her needs were met, she chose joy, which taught me a beautiful lesson in itself. So it's understanding that there's a communication that's happening, and a connection between the two of us that goes beyond my connection with other people. And like what Cara had mentioned earlier about, you don't always feel like being a mom, but guess what? You have to do it. It was this instinct that took over within me that it didn't matter if I was tired or if I felt like getting up off the couch or whatever it was that I was doing. That was trumped by a silent agreement that I have with this child to help her meet her needs.
So now, Chrissy, you have one child. What would you say to somebody who's, down and out and's got multiple children? How do you listen? How do you take care of yourself? I mean, how do you do what we're talking about doing? We've had the pleasure of, support. What do you tell other mothers who don't have that and who have multiple children? I mean, what can we say to them to support them?
Well, one of the things I might suggest is to delegate wherever you're able to delegate in your life to whatever support you do have, or, reaching out for that support, asking for help. I think that's one of the hardest things as moms. It's, we can really get into, I can do it all myself, or I don't want to ask for help, or I don't want to burden anybody else, right? But really, it helps so much. So if we can just find that courage to reach out, to ask for help, to link arms, I think, as you said earlier, to come together really in that sisterhood. There's so many ways, we can find another mom with children, close to ours in age, and we can, have just being together, even if the kids are, the babies, the children are playing together, and then we're able to have adult conversation as mothers and share where we're at and what we're going through, and, the challenges and struggles and all the beauty and greatness and amazingness that's there too. Helps.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I won't, because I think that so often, and I've certainly heard this and worked with people in this, when they've had a baby and then they are exhausted, and it just makes them more and more depressed when they feel guilty for asking for help, or when they don't even ask and the help just appears in front of their face and they feel guilty about taking on the help, and that is so not right? What do you say?
Well, it is, and I think a lot of us come to motherhood, in the various different ways, and then help is offered, and so many of us are like, no, I can do it all. I can, stay up all night, and I can do the diapers, and it's not disposables, it's cotton, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And then help comes, and then you're not sure what to do with it. But asking for help is really, really important. And it can help you get from that point A to point B, to help you get over that bridge where you feel like you're stuck and all you want to do is cry. Right. It's not going to get better, but it does.
Right, and I think if you take the perspective of some of the things that we're talking about, this spiritual perspective, sometimes we are the sacrificial lamb, and it is for somebody else to be able to come in and help. I often say that to myself when I don't want the help, but somebody's appearing, and I often think to myself, they need to help, and they need to share in this experience. And so my not being able to do something is for their benefit. And so I will let them in. And I also want to say something about something that Chrissy has been alluding to, but I also think that babies are the closest thing to the spirituality, to something that we sometimes forget, the purity of life, the greatness of life, the beauty in life. And even though they don't communicate it the way we would understand that communication, they have it. And so just watching a baby is the stuff that we can really learn from. So
yeah. So I would add, along with the asking for help that both Cara and Chris touched on, the other step is being able to receive help. Yes. Allowing yourself the gift of receiving help, because like what you just touched on, Marilyn, in our receiving of help, we are also giving simultaneously the gift of allowing somebody else to help us. Absolutely. So it is an exchange that happens, and I had to learn both. Luckily, I have conditioned myself to be a very gracious receiver. So when help was offered, I was able to take it, where I had to grow as a person and as a new mother, as being able to ask for it. And an interesting thing I found with asking for it is that typically I get it. And Marilyn, you also made a good point earlier that we are surrounded by resources, especially in this day and age. I mean, if you're watching the show right now, you have access to a computer and getting online. Cara is not the only wonderful, amazing, passionate doula out there. Doulas are amazing advocates for moms, and there are tons of Facebook pages, websites. We have plenty of resources, and I believe, again, if you just ask, what you are really in need of will find its way to you. Ask and then put yourself out there into what resources you do have. And I believe the right people will come to support you. Like you said, Marilyn, no matter what your economic status is, no matter what your financial or family life looks like, there are resources around us. And if you have a need inside, to me, that's a cue that the remedy is out there. It's just a matter of reaching out for it and allowing it to come to you.
Okay, so now I want to ask, when you are petrified of asking, and there are plenty of women out there that are petrified of asking, or don't have anybody, or really don't know of anybody to ask. You know, there are women who are in situations that are, you know, let's call it, abuse, and they're having babies, a lot of them, right and left, and they can't reach out. How do you get to those women, Cara? You're in an industry, you're in a business, you're an educator, you're a doula. I mean, how is the world reaching these women, and how can we reach them?
Well, I would say one of the ways is through volunteering, through service, through selfless service, because those are the kind of programs that reach maybe those moms who are not economically, able to, let's say, afford a doula. So a lot of birth facilities now offer or have volunteer doula programs.
So you're suggesting that people volunteer to help reach these women, right? Because there are women that are stuck. And so how we get to them is by people who are not stuck, volunteering to help the women that are stuck.
Exactly, and being in service to them. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I thought the same thing whenever you posed that question, Marilyn, because one of the things that I've done over the last several years is taking my time to volunteer for organizations that reach out to people who are unemployed, underemployed, who have been incarcerated, who have addictions past, organizations that reach these people so that I can show up and be the example and to be a resource for them. So they're not my target demographic market as far as growing and expanding my business, but they are me, just in another walk in life. And what I have is just as, they have as much of a right to as the people who can, say, pay for my services. So in getting involved in volunteering, it's allowed me to reach out to that community that does not have the same support systems that I have in life and have challenges that I haven't had to face in life. Okay. And I think that so the fact that we volunteer for organizations like this says that there are organizations out there. So if you are a mom and you're listening to this and you are looking for that support, look for organizations, because they are out there looking for you, and you will get matched up and get plugged into people that are just as passionate as.
So are there public service announcements and things in the libraries for these women as well?
I'm not really sure.
Because some of them, they're scared to talk to anybody. There are women that are, depressed. I mean, what about you? You talked about postpartum depression. I mean, what do you do for women who have postpartum depression and just are too depressed to even speak about anything? What's a message to them?
That's a tough one, because there are so many services and so many people willing to help, but if there isn't anybody to be that bridge or be that connecting link, really, to show them what's there and what's available, that's tough. If they're so isolated and so depressed, then it really falls upon, that they even get their care provider who may or may not, accurately, if they're opened up enough to share with them where they're really at and be honest about it. And then so to me, that really goes into the core of what we were talking about, being willing to receive. Sometimes we can be in a place where we're so closed off to it that even though that help is right there saying, here I am and I can help you, if we're not going to receive it or allow it in, we're all here to help.
Right. So
what do we do?
What I hear Cara saying is that the first step, I would say, for those moms that are depressed, that are facing this, the first thing you're going to have to do is get vulnerable.
That's right.
And
be honest.
You're going to have to get to a place of honesty with yourself, and then just choose one person to confide that with. And I think that that's the first steps of the journey. Mm-hmm. And I know, like for myself, for Cara, we have websites that are resources for when we offer ourselves to be able to get you plugged into sources, get you plugged into what it is that we have going on that has helped us to create this level of peace and joy in our life, and to be able to pay that forward to our children. And we're out here. I know that as awesome and wonderful as we are, we're not the only ones that are like this.
Yes.
So the first step, I would say, to get vulnerable. You're going to have to get vulnerable, and you're going to have to reach out to one person, and that can make all the difference.
So I want to add, when you said that this too shall pass. What doesn't have to pass is the love. That doesn't have to pass. The love that we feel for our children, the beaming, the glowing, the love that I feel when I see my children, when I see my grandson, when I see fathers. I love when I see a man taking good care of a kid.
Yep.
I was in TJ Maxx the other day, and this man was shopping with his little kid in a cart, and all this man was doing was pointing out colors to this kid. I loved it. And had I been in this frame of mind then, in this love space, I would have said something to him. Like, so I think it's very important that when you see an act of something that you appreciate from somebody else, that you mention it to them. That you stop for a second, and I will from now on, that when you stop and you see somebody doing something that you like and that you know stands out as something powerful and joyful, and that you stop and you acknowledge them for doing that. And I, from now on, will do that, especially when I see men. But like the other day, I saw these young women in a dressing room at TJ Maxx, and the kids, they were talking to the kids so nicely that I did say something. Say something. That travels so far and wide. And so I just want to make a point. But we are getting to the point of wrapping up. So I want to, Chrissy, will you just say where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me online, holisticrestoration.com. From there, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter.
Spell your name again.
Sure. You can just, even if you just Google or go on Facebook and search for Chrissy Key, CRISSYKEYE. I'm like the only one that shows up with the name of that spelling. So I'm under Chrissy Key Rollins because I now have my husband's last name on there as well. My website, holisticrestoration.com. It's a lengthy one, HOL.
Oh, that's okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
That? Yeah. Perfect.
We got show notes that'll be on Breaking Free on Facebook and on our website and on MarilynShannon.com. So we're going to put all this in there. So just go there tomorrow and it'll be there. So that's great. So you got Chrissy's information. Cara, how do people find you? And remember, Cara's in North Carolina, but there's a Cara somewhere, and I'm sure she can help guide you as well. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can find me on my website is www.prema.com, and that means mother's love in Sanskrit.
Wow.
So that's my website, and also I have a Facebook page, which is the same thing, just Facebook, and then / Ama Prema Love. So either of those places.
You know, it was one thing I would love to have spoken about is breastfeeding, because that's a whole other thing. But we'll have to talk about that another
We could have
time.
like a whole show about
Yeah, we can have a whole
Another show.
And I didn't do it, but I'm watching, and I would love to do that, Chris. where can they find you?
Well, you can always email me at chris@reenchantplanetearth.com, and in a moment I will type those into the notes. And you can also reach me through Reenchant Planet Earth, Breaking Free Show, and I am your humble co-producer, and I'm always working behind the scenes behind Amnon and Marilyn.
Yeah, I
each
really
week.
had to twist her arm to come seriously.
She did. She
Seriously,
did. But I'm
I had
here.
to give her. I had to give her coffee and lunch to make her come.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really. See, really, I had to make her come.
See, I'm breaking free.
Yeah, she's.
What am I getting?
What do you mean? What do you? Oh, you get money. No, I'm just kidding. And you can find me if you see my name above me. You can always email me at Marilyn at powerofdialogue.com. It's up there, and I have a new ebook, which I'm really delighted about, and you can find it on MarilynShannon.com. Just see where it says ebook and click there, and then get it. It's the first of a series. It's an intro into listening, which is my big passion, and listening in business, which is where we're starting. There's so much to say and so many places we can go with this. But Chrissy, in summing up, because we only have another minute, what would you say?
I would say that the first and foremost, we are fully equipped. We have everything inside of us to guide us and navigate this world. And like you just touched on the listening, Marilyn, being able to quiet our self and our minds enough to be able to tap into that intuition. And life it's all about allowing that flow. This is the number one thing I think that I would like to impart on any other mom. You and your child or your children, you have agreements that you made to experience before you even came into this position that you're at in life right now. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that I live by day in, day out is whatever I do, don't do right, do wrong, it's exactly what I've agreed to do and Keely has agreed to experience with me. So just have that faith in moving forward. There is no mistakes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Cara, what about you? What would you say?
I would say motherhood matters and birth matters, and how we're born into this world and onto this earth affects us, imprints us, and stays with us for the rest of our lives here. So reach out, ask for help, ask for support. It's here. It's all about sisterhood too, and coming together and being together, being present for each other and with each other, loving each other, mothering the mother, really, that is. And by loving ourselves, the more we love ourselves, the more care we give ourselves, the more we're able to be there and be that presence of love for each other and our children and families.
Perfect. And Chris?
And to wrap it up, wasn't it the Army slogan for a long time? I modified it and I said,
Good.
Motherhood, parenthood, it's the toughest job you'll ever love.
Perfect. And I would say, give it a chance. Mm-hmm. Whether you are debating about becoming a mother, whether you already are a mother, I'd say just go into it and give it a chance. And don't make it a job. Just let it be. Let it evolve. Let it be. Enjoy the simple things. And when I started to do that, really do that, my relationship, I think, with my children changed, and it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. So I would suggest just give it a chance and just see what happens, and you will be amazed. And the thing about the sisterhood part, this is the thing that one of the things that connects us so much as women, that is the most beautiful thing that we can do together. So whether you're a partner or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just everybody connect. And with that, I want to thank everybody for being here today and for listening to us. And I want to thank these extraordinarily beautiful, fantastic women, mothers, and people that I love to call friends from my heart. And thank you all for being here in Amnon. You've been listening to all this. I can't imagine what you'd be thinking. I should have asked you. Do you have a close-up? What would you say? What would you say after you've heard all of this? As a man, what would you say?
I had the pleasure of actually being at home when Hannah was born, and Kathy was here too.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Definitely tough.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to give birth.
But?
And I wouldn't want to stay. Somebody was saying that she was going to stay pregnant for the rest of her life, instead of, I don't know.
But
It's the best thing.
it's the best thing.
It is.
As a father.
Absolutely.
And I wish you could see his face, but you
There's-
can't
there-
because he's
I
got
mean,
these
it gives you
impulses.
Radiance.
purpose.
It gives you a purpose.
Yep.
And so the conversation that we had today was
What conversation?
that we've been talking about parenting, motherhood.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, too bad.
Oh, that's the easy
All right,
way out.
there we go. And with that, I'll say goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.